Can anybody tell what the triple L is? The triple L is lifelong learning. Since 2012, I have been paying special attention to the social integration of disadvantaged people, disadvantaged adults. Within the group of disadvantaged people, I study the education of the incarcerated. Incarcerated people live in prisons, in correctional institutes. I'm interested in how to improve the preparation of prisoners for their return to the society. I'm convinced that adult education has a key role in this process. So, lifelong learning, adult education, and andragogy can be considered approximately equal, but we have to know the three terms are, of course, not synonymous with each other. The topics I want to talk about are age groups in learning, learning theories, learning paths, andragogy of the elderly and the disadvantaged in my practice, edutainment, and learning styles. In terms of learning and education, society can be divided into three parts, three age groups. The first age group is the group of young people, which is considered from birth to about the time when they have the high school education. The second age group, which spends the longest and the most active time in their life, is a group of adults which lasts until retirement age. And the third age group is the group of elderly, which does not necessarily have to be a passive stage of life. All three age groups have their own learning characteristics. When we see anthropagogy, three main learning theories can be distinguished: behaviorism, cognitivism, and constructivism. In behaviorism, learning is nothing more than responding to the external stimuli. The learner is a kind of passive participant, and learning is just the acquisition of new knowledge. In cognitivism, the students process, store, and retrieve information and attach new information to existing schema. And constructivism, the students build their knowledge base individually based on their past and present experiences. Students actively think, analyze, synthesize, and collaborate with each other. Before I get into my practical experience, let me say a few words about lifelong learning's learning paths: formal learning, non-formal learning, and informal learning. Formal learning takes place in the education system, where the students has learning goals according to the curriculum, and the output is a final certificate. Informal learning is outside of the context of the education system. It still works within an organized framework, but does not follow any curriculum. Informal learning takes place in everyday life. Sometimes we don't even know when we are learning. Sometimes they say experiential learning because we build on our experiences. A learning style is how learner gather, interpret, organize information, and the way to store it for further use. A visual learner is receptive to textual input, information, and messages that can be seen. An auditory learner is open to sounds and technique with audible information. A kinesthetic student, the student's body or the student itself always moving. Some people like to study alone, individually, without talking to others. And the social or interpersonal learners work best when they participate in study activities with other people in group. In one person, several learning styles can be blended. Let's see why I highlighted the groups of elderly and the disadvantaged people. The group of elderly is worth a deal with them. A lot of knowledge has accumulated in people of retirement, and you can build on this knowledge. Year after year, I conducted seminars for participants over the age of 65 in Hungary at the Florent University in Budapest. I worked with groups 8 to 10 people for one semester each. They learned family research. The task was to visit some relatives and gather information about family contacts. A quantitative and qualitative data collection was done. They visited their relatives, often to a distant point of the countryside, and collected information, and they carried out data processing. And they presented their experiences in the exams. These senior students went through processes such as planning, method selection, data collection, data processing, and synthesizing. The outcomes of the seminars was that every participant was able to create a special interpretation of their family research. The participants of the seminars carry out their activities in accordance with the constructivist learning theory. They added what they had learned to their already acquired knowledge, and created their new knowledge as a result of the synthesis. This is how some certificates engendered, and this is how the elderly proved that andragogy is a moving and living theory. The priority task of andragogy is the support of the disadvantaged. When using the concept of disadvantage, we must take into account that is, so we cannot talk about the disadvantaged situation in an absolute sense. Only we can define it in the context of the person in relation to the situation of the majority. It can also happen that somebody is not considered the disadvantaged in the country in which they live, while in other country they are classified the disadvantaged. So everything I will talk about the disadvantaged now, I'm going to tell about the prisoners. It is important to say that while prisoners are serving their sentences, they fall out from the everyday life, from the society. That is why their reintegration into the society is very important. The reintegration process lasts from the beginning of the sentence to the final day of the sentence. Prisoners work, study, and take part in cultural activity. They must carry out all actions in prisons in such a way that they are ready to participate in society at the end of the sentence. They have to prepare to the point where they leave prison. They must continue their life in a normal way to take part in the labor market, to find a place in the family, and so on. In the case of prisoners, in order to facilitate their learning process, I consider it important to mention what andragogic concept seems to be applicable. Now I would like to talk about two terms, the combination of which will create a new term and practice, not just a term, but practice or method in andragogy. Let's see the word education and entertaining. Education, entertaining. If both are used at the same time, we will get the new concept that makes edutaining. Edutaining is the process of entertaining people at the same time you're teaching them something. In prison, it is particularly important to arouse inmate interest in learning. Until now, I used and conducted some sessions to prisoners is film clubs, group conversations, meditation, photo exhibitions, and musical performances. A film club is an adult education process. The andragogic method is debate. After a film screening, we started a so-called film discussion, while the participants draw parallel between the film's story and the reality and recognize the point where they made a mistake in their lives. We put the pros and contras in the focus, in the center of the discussion, and the 2 to 3 hours gatherings were suitable for the formation of the group cooperative learning, which was based on the sharing of knowledge between the mates, the prison mates. On each such occasion, it was clearly visible how group cohesion develops, which supported, you remember, social learning. A Hungarian psychologist, Csikszentmihalyi's flow theory. This flow theory was also applied according to which everyone's perception of time was turned off. When we are in the middle of doing something, often we forget what's the time. We forget to have lunch because we like doing the thing. Not the goal is important. Important is the thing, to do the thing. And the participants experienced the session as flow experience. Sometimes we ourselves appear in prisons with musical performances. The songs are self-composed and related to prison life. After the musical performance, discussion usually begins during which the inmates react to what they heard. Especially the ones who have an auditory learning style, ask about the genesis and the message of the songs. Every group conversation suggests that this adult education method should be practiced much more often. My experience is that group conversation have a positive effect on the mood, of the quality of speech, and on the thinking of the prisoners. Each question becomes a new question, which shows that the inmates' interests are broadening and growing. This is an excellent andragogical method. At a photo exhibition, 25 pictures are hung on the walls, and prisoners come to see them in groups. While viewing the pictures, a conversation develops between the viewers and the author. The inmates have the opportunity to ask questions about the pictures. It is an adult education method that favors those with a visual learning style. Photo exhibition can easily be combined with a group discussion and a musical performance, so we can address it to multiple learning styles. By meditation, people's reintegration can be highly promoted. Mental exercises, as you can see, meditation here, offer the possibility to the prisoners of being one's own support. During meditation, the individual focuses on themselves, and physical and the mental relaxation is in progress. So I presented some theories and practices of andragogy in supporting lifelong learning. Hopefully the content of my presentation met your curiosity and prior knowledge. Thank you for your interest.